little walkabout while I'm waiting for the strawberries to thaw a bit. That is the strangest thing you've probably heard in a while. I've been digging up strawberries this morning. After finishing the retainer wall down the hill, I thought it would be good to get some of them down there as well. So, let's just take a look around. There's quite a bit of greenery for daffodils, but only a couple are open so far. And it looks like this will be the next one. Yeah. So I use daffodils to block the fence areas and to keep moles out of my my growing areas, because the roots are just a bit toxic. So, you know, not edible but functional for sure. And they're everywhere. I started getting daffodils maybe 12 years ago, and they have gotten out of hand. Like, there's no mincing words there. They have gotten out of hand. Looks like the sundrops didn't like having the sun beat down on them. Or snowdrops, rather, didn't like having the sun beat down on them yesterday. It was only in the 40s, but that's about what they do when they get too much sun. They go flop. They usually perk back up. There's a few in here that are a little bit more upright still. The afternoon sun is largely shaded by the neighbor's house. So I do want to move my plum tree. I did a silly. I didn't think this would get that big, so I put this too close. It needs centered between the two cherries. This is a early blue freestone plum, I believe. Yeah, so these are all, the raised tire beds are all onions. I do have radishes that freely seed in here. The green spot right there is a temporary holding spot for a Stella d'Oro lily that was right where the plum tree's gonna go. I'm gonna divide that out because I think it's about 50 different little Stella d'Oro roots, and sprinkle those throughout the garden too, because those flowers are edible, and many other parts of the plant are too, depending on the season. So here we have the first bloomers. They also did not like the afternoon sun from the looks of it. I'm curious whether those will perk back up too, or if not. No leaves on the cherry. These are both Saskatoons, or whatever you want to call them. June berries, service berries, etc., etc. I think they're the Canadensis. And they might be the Alapechinae? I don't know. They might be that instead. I think this is a Stella dwarf cherry, and it's been struggling. It seems to have verticillium wilt, dropped half its leaves and then all of them, and then only had leaves on the tips last year. So one of the things that is called for in that is way too much potassium. So there's ash all over down below. I brought this branch from the elsewhere in the neighborhood. It's just kind of a lichen covered branch. Alright, so this is my Joe Pye, which I would like to relocate eventually. It's a really great privacy blind, and it doesn't really allow much to grow underneath it because it blocks so much water away. But it also is one of the plants that's supposed to really like having wet feet, and if so, this being my sump pump diversion trench with a discarded water bottle at the end, I'll take care of that later, it's not mine. That's a pretty good place for it. This was full for the rest of the winter. This is the only time since I dug it several weeks ago, I guess, that it's been dry. It's actually dry. So I guess there will be occasions when that trench is at least mostly dry. Go figure. This was sold under the name Black Currant in 1999. However, the berries are about that big. That big? So, I believe it to be an early attempt at what eventually became the Yostaberry. Right now it's just twigs. In that mound is Jerusalem artichoke, which I'd like to get more than one variety. Currently I just have Stampede, and I would just grow them together. Let's see, that's lovage. I hope it made it through the winter. We'll find out. This is asparagus. That was its first year. Surrounded by lady's mantle, which is a great ground cover around here, but not well preferred for an asparagus patch, so I've been slowly relocating it. You can kind of see it, the upheaval in the middle. Over here I was attempting to take roots from a rhubarb that was dying and get them started. I see one is still kicking at the moment. I didn't understand crown rot at the time that I did this, so I took roots that I think were, in retrospect, I believe were being affected by crown rot. I don't know. One of them is doing fine over on the other side of the garden, like around the corner there, but all of these littler ones are, you know, they made great attempts, but over time just kind of decided, nah. Wow, some of the leaves on these snowdrops are actually, I can visually see them starting to perk up in the cold. That is wild. Alright. Up here we have another type of rhubarb. So that tiny little baby one that we just were looking at is called a perpetual rhubarb. This is not a perpetual rhubarb. This is a regular garden type rhubarb, but it starts out much earlier, such that all of the new growth that keeps popping up in the warm spells in the winter keep getting like freeze rot, I guess I'd call it. I don't know. So garden variety rhubarb is new to me. I've been having the perpetual rhubarb for years, and it's been surprising how different it is. Over in this corner I have one scorzonera that I hope will do the coming back this year thing, and this is also a section where I was allowing a lot of sow thistle to go to seed, so I'm pretty excited about that because it's delicious. And I have several different hollyhocks, which the leaves are delicious, and I also eat the seed pods. They have a very cooked, obviously because they're fuzzy, maybe not obviously, but they're fuzzy, so I cook them like a cooked green. And there's an early bit of leafing out, and these are the stems from last year. And then I think these are getting way overcrowded because they usually bloom much better than this. That's just a really sporadic bloom. And a couple of them had actually, a couple of the bulbs had actually pushed up out of the ground. An interesting thing that I've noticed, I always assumed that bulbs spread laterally, but they create like a ball of bulbs in the ground, which now that I think about it, makes a lot more sense. But was a surprise to me nonetheless. So there are 3 different hollyhocks lined up here that are currently dormant. And then the front, of course, has all the strawberries, which I just ordered some ever-bearing strawberries that are getting delivered. I ordered them over the winter, and it's from a company that does bare root shipping, so I need to be ready for them to come. So I'm digging up the existing June-bearing strawberries, which is also this entire row. I'm going to end up having 6 of them, so I'm just going to put 2 in each tire, and they'll multiply just fine. These were a single plant in each tire just at the beginning of last year. So they're a relatively prolific variety, however, slugs and stuff. And the groundhog did not allow me to get a whole lot of those for my own eating this year. So bringing to light needs for, like, because this is a floodplain here, and I'm removing this partly because it was starting to fall, and partly because I need to figure out how to draw the water away from the patio. Because as you can see, we're having some heave and crack. 14 years ago it was not like that. I cannot tell you exactly when it started being like that, however. And then of course I've got the moss cover, whoops, all through here, which is beautiful to me. I am absolutely loving this. Moss walkways. It's way less weeding. If I just keep a good eye on it while it's developing. There's another hollyhock in there. It did really well, and it's underplanted with pennyroyal, which is not edible, but is a very good flea preventative. So that's nice in different ways. And I got a couple onions and garlic popping up along the walkway here. Whatever. A few of these up in here are lilies, but for the most part I am sheet mulching. And then up towards the top of this is where I plan to put several more of the hazelnut plants that I got a few more of. So hopefully that'll all go well. There's little songbirds everywhere. I hope you can hear them all right. Things are going well. I am sore but happy. So that's an alright trade-off. Oh yeah, apple, pear, underplanted with bugle, bulbs, monarda, sweet woodruff, and I'm going to put one of the native cherry trees right there in the middle where that bird just went, like right here, so that I can have a little bit of a bulk protectant in front of it, because the deer keep coming through right when the baby fruit are on the plant and nipping them all off. And then I get maybe 2 or 3 fruit instead of the whole tree worth. Oops. Yeah, so things are coming along. It's actually starting to be manageable. All perennials and just weeding is the way to go for me. I am very happy with this. So the front yard I'm sheet mulching, and I think I'm going to turn it into the beginning of a nursery with sunken pots, and probably start intentionally cultivating the daffodils, and maybe I'll have mixes of those available once I have a good clear idea of what I have, because I think the first plan is I'm gonna mark bloom dates, color for each of them, and then start to divide them. Once I walk across here real quick, there's a little bit more over here. A couple of American elderberries, 2 different varieties, which was entirely by accident. A friend of mine dug these out of the edge of their field for me. Same thing with the Joe Pye. And we've got another daffodil race in that one in the back, and several crocuses along here, all of which I'll probably have to move, because at the time that I put those in there, I wasn't expecting to get so tired of the lawn. I don't want grass, invasive grasses in my lawn, and that's proving to be an impossibility, so I'm going to convert my recreational space. And then up front, I got a couple of zebra grass here. There's not really much point to them. Some naturalized snowdrops all through this lawn. Solar tarping along here. Not sure what I'm going to do about the fact that I got a couple pawpaw coming, because I was thinking I'd put them there and I didn't realize how bad it was over there. Eek. And then here's the cliff we've been looking at so much. And the view. That was a lot of why I got this house. a lot of why I got this house. This is good stuff though. I'm very happy with it. This is a good spring. You see the little sticks here are for irises I noticed that I may end up moving. And I think I'm going to go see if... You can hear the highway noise a lot. I'm going to go see if the bits of dirt that had the strawberry frozen into them are permeable now. I put them down on black plastic that was a little bit solar heated and hoping that it'll release a little bit of this frozen effect. Happy Sunday, and it's the 18th of March 2018. Bye.